Hey, what's up everyone? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this review we are looking at the Marvel Legends Infinite Series Amazing Spider-Man 2 Toxin, Symbiote, whatever variant Toxin. So this is the running change for Carnage, which Carnage was a pretty good figure, a pretty standard figure, and this guy has a lot of parts that we've seen before also. It's basically Hyperion with some claws and a new head. But we'll talk about that. So he stands just about, let's see here, or almost exactly at 7 inches tall. So he has definitely got some size to him for being a Marvel Legends figure. But as I said, he uses the Hyperion body for everything, except he has obviously the legs without the boot cuffs, but everything else is the same. And then he has new forearms and new hands. He's got this texture or sculpting going on for the forearms. He's got the hands that look like Carnage's. I thought they were the exact same as Carnage in the pictures, but then obviously I looked and they're much larger. So he's got the Carnage hands and forearms, and he's got a new head, and he's got the Carnage, I believe it's the exact same piece as the Carnage one. It looks just like it to me. I haven't compared them in hand, but the sculpting on the back part here doesn't actually fit this guy. It's close, but not quite, so I believe it's the actual Carnage piece. But we'll take that off. So it's basically Hyperion with a new head and new forearms. And I have to say, it's completely underwhelming. Now, I really liked the Toy Biz Toxin. It wasn't perfect, but I really liked it. And I know it's a different version of Toxin, and I don't mind this new version, this Ultimates version, I think it is. I don't mind it at all, but they got the look wrong. The head in particular, he looks like some kind of caricature of like a drunk donkey. Those teeth in the front just look horrible. So bad. And I know he's supposed to have a green tongue, so I'm not complaining about the green, but this one's metallic green. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's metallic. So, yeah, I don't know why it's metallic at all. If you got rid of this part and just kind of had the eyes there, you can see it's not a bad sculpt at all. The head sculpt looks pretty good, albeit it's too big by about 30%, I think. It's way too big of a head. But if you take out that lower part of the, like the mandible area, he's got a really nice sculpt. They did a good job with that, and it looks nice. But then the way they sculpted the teeth and the jaw, it just looks really weird. And the way it has to sit on the head or on the neck, if you want him to look forward and or down, since he's taller than everybody else, you have to tuck his chin all the way in. So he looks like he's just making some kind of goofy jackass face. Literally like a donkey jackass face. It's just, I don't like it. Yeah, he can look up. So I mean, if you want him to look up, that's fine. But if you want his chin to stick out at all, he's going to be looking up at a 45-degree angle. So it's just really weird. I know his mouth is open, so it wouldn't be sticking straight out. But still, it's just weird. And you add that weirdness to the weirdness that is inherent in the Hyperion body with the very flexed chest, like he's out here making a crunch like that. Not a crunch, but a whatever you call that, you know, where he's got his chest actually narrow and like bulked out in the front. So he basically have to stand him like this in order for the anatomy to look right. It's just wrong. The back has way too much curve this way, the shoulders are way too far forward, and like I said, the head sits really funny. So it's just not a good looking figure. It's very awkward looking. And then he has these really long skinny forearms. So they kind of look like Slender Man mixed with Carnage, kinda. I don't, it's just, the whole thing is very awkward. I don't care for it, personally, if you didn't get that already. So let's talk about the paint. Some people were really hyped up about the paint when we saw it originally, about the shading, the blending, and it does kind of blend. We have this darker kind of a, not really crimson, almost like a burgundy, like a brick red for the extremities, and then the torso, it fades into this really bright, kind of vibrant crimson red, which the blending's okay for the torso. It's actually a pretty decent job, but the bright red is really glossy, and then the rest of the red is very matte or satin. So that looks kind of odd to me. I don't care for that a whole lot. And on top of that, they did a bad job with the bright red because they didn't get the tops of the shoulders. They didn't really do much blending on the arm here. It just has a little like a lip on the top of the bicep swivel. So that's no good. It's not inside the ab crunch. It's not inside the back of the ab crunch. It's just, it doesn't really blend with the head. Maybe that's right. I don't remember offhand if it's supposed to go from red to, or light red to dark red to light red again. It just doesn't look very good, guys. It's very poor execution on just about every aspect of it. So it's really disappointing. And then this is the same red as Carnage. I believe it's the exact same piece they just put in the package. It's not the same red as the bright red. I mean, it's passable, but it's not the same at all. So it's just very lazy, very, very lazy, I think. Okay, so let's talk about the articulation real quick. The head, same as Hyperion, ball, disc, whatever, sits very weird. Then we have the ball hinge shoulder, nothing new here. Bicep swivel, that's all the same. Double jointed elbow, so at least that works. That's nice. We have the wrist swivel and a hinge, so that's the same on both sides. Mine was mismolded, so the hinge in the wrist is not centered where it's supposed to be at all. If you guys can see what I'm talking about, it's like up and over from where it's supposed to be cut in, so that's disappointing. So his hand's always kind of cockeyed. Don't care for that. You already saw the ab crunch. It's an effective ab crunch for sure, but the sculpt is still really weird, and it gets really blocky up at the top again. They haven't fixed anything, in other words. Waist twist, that's fine. T-jointed hips with the swivel built in, they're pretty good. I mean, you probably don't need to be in bigger splits than that. And if you do need to, you can technically spin them all the way around like that. So I personally, it takes a little effort, but you can get the legs to do what you need them to do. So that's fine with me. Double jointed knees, that's good. We have the boot swivel, which I don't care for, but it's there, and it's not particularly problematic on this guy, so I'm okay with that. We have the ankle pivot and the ankle rocker with his Crocs, because it looks kind of like Crocs. So we have that. So that's okay. I do like that they have an ankle rocker, even though it's the slightly angled kind. So that's, it's okay. And I do want to point out that I'm not just down on this mold altogether. I think the thighs are sculpted wonderfully. I think the lower legs are way too thick, and that throws off the look a lot. And then it's just that torso really is what's killing it. I do think the biceps could be bigger, or not bigger, but longer. There's just, the proportions are off. The anatomy is off, I think, on a lot of these recent Marvel Legends, the newer styled Hasbro ones. They're just, something's not quite right about the anatomy. And if you see them in person, they just, I don't know. Even on camera, for me, it looks way off if you know how the anatomy is supposed to look. So maybe you guys see what I'm talking about. I hope you do. And if you don't, then I guess you're lucky. Ignorance is bliss. No offense. Alright guys, that's it. That's Toxin. Definitely not a must-have by any means. If you're a huge Toxin fan, then I guess get it. But otherwise, easy pass if you're not being a completist. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. In the meantime, keep collecting.